Go back in time, I'd probably tell my younger self to not be too attached to the plan and keep trying new things. Because you're not being able to stick to the plan is not like a personal failure. There's so many things involved. And also I think you need to see the plan as like more of a guideline, especially in the way that I lived my life. I lived my life by listening to what everybody else told me to do and trying to fit that mold. And I never thought much about what I wanted to do up until maybe like 5 years ago. And so my plan was always the basic, like, oh, get good grades, go into college, end up with a good job, stay along that timeline, hopefully get married in my mid 20s and start having kids and be in a house and live in like a nice house in the suburbs or something. That was my goal. Especially because like I grew up kind of poor. That's a little complicated, okay? But anyways, my goal was always just to basically fit like the idea of the nuclear family and everything. But then once I was about 18, a bunch of things happened in my life that I couldn't have predicted. My personal life, just everything blew up in my face. And I realized finally that I was never living the life that I wanted to live, right? And so I had to figure things out and completely stray away from the original plan. And I didn't know what I was doing. This was like peak survival mode for me. And throughout the last few years, I've worked through a lot of things. And now I'm at this point in my life where I'm working through a lot of perfectionism and trying to find a way of living that works for me. Because for the longest time, like I said, I was trying to fit the mold of other people. And I realized that it never worked for me. Like once I even started to attain certain things, I was like, I don't think I like this. Oftentimes I'll feel stuck or I'll try to do something like so perfectly and stick to it. And then along the way I realize like, wait, you don't need to follow the original plan. Because the original plan is always more of a guideline, because you can only think so much about how something is going to be, and that can be so different from living it. You can think it's the idea of it that you like, but then once you're living it, you realize that your idea of it versus the experience of it, they were actually mismatched, and that wasn't actually what you wanted. But that's not to be seen as a failure. That's just a point to think like, hey, I liked this part of it, but I don't like this part of it. You can adjust. You can adjust. There's no such thing as getting something perfect the first time. People don't talk a lot about the failures and the attempts and the experimenting and adjusting that they had to do to get to the point that they are now. Creating balance, there's like an art to it. And that's something I've been, like I was just writing about earlier today. Because the life that I live now, I actually forgot that this was what I always wanted. Because once I got here, I was like, why does it not feel like what I wanted? And it's because I am still trying to stick too much to the idea of what would make it like look perfect. But it's not about that. It's like, okay, like I said, the idea of it, and then once I actually had it, those were mismatched. So now I've just got to work on that and adjust from there. There's a lot of aspects of my life that I really enjoy that works for me now. And there's other things that I know I need to adjust because they're not how I anticipated. And that's okay. That's how it works. That's not anything to be ashamed of. It's that there are so many factors outside of what you could have possibly predicted. And it's not that you did anything wrong. It's that there are other factors that you couldn't have predicted. And that's not a personal failure. You're not supposed to be able to predict every single factor that exists in the world that could possibly throw you off your plan. You know what I'm trying to say?